Black Legion are incredibly unique. Despite being the poster children for the Chaos Space Marine faction, they have their own unique identity that cannot be matched by any other Trader Legion, and are incredibly important not only for the setting at large, but represent a distinct character shift in the Trader forces as well. The Black Legion, more than anything else, are driven by ideology, a higher purpose, not just a band of raiders and savages, but a band of warriors, celebrating brotherhood first and foremost. Their genesis came during what would become known amongst the Trader Legions as the Legion Wars, which was the period after the heresy where the remaining Trader Legions broke apart and started hammering each other for anything. Petty disputes, resources, or boredom were all valid reasons, and this development into pointless squabbling is what led the first captain of the Sons of Horus, Ezekiel Abaddon, to not only abandon his legion, but take the vengeful spirit all across the warp in a personal journey. After the rampage of the Emperor's children that would leave Fabius Bile attempting to clone Horus, Falcus Kyber of the Sons of Horus would request the aid of 3 men: Iskandar Kaon of the Thousand Sons, Leorvine Urkus of the World Eaters, and Telemachon Lyris of the Emperor's Children. Together, these 4 would sail across the warp, attempting to find Ezekiel Abaddon and prevent the recreation of the Sons of Horus, with Horus's clone at the head. They would fight Abaddon and the Vengeful Spirit on the Elder World of Ascarial. They would unite the various forces under their command, attack the Emperor's Children's stronghold world of Harmony, kill the clone of Horus, and destroy, in effect, any last cohesion the Emperor's Children even had. In the aftermath of this event, Abaddon would declare himself War Master, and those alongside him would become his Black Legion. Now, it is important to note, the Black Legion are not a rebranded Sons of Horus. Far from it, actually. It's not even remotely the same animal. Despite containing many members of it, and even being led by Abaddon, the Black Legion are in and of themselves an entirely new legion, similar to, say, the Red Corsairs. Their identity as a legion is not drawn from being the sons of a specific Primarch or serving a specific Chaos God, but like I said earlier, ideology, a lot of which is derived from the mindset that Abaddon and those similar to him have, that being to waste away in the Eye of Terror fighting against the other legions, engaging in pointless wars when they were created for so much more, is a waste of their existence. Why take pointless resources to fight over small territories when there's an entire galaxy to conquer? Not to rule, but to conquer. That's the important thing about the Black Legion that many do not understand. It doesn't need to rule the galaxy, as the idea of a warrior king in the eyes of Abaddon and many others is a useless endeavor. In a lot of ways, it's the perfect definition of might makes right, and it doesn't mean that after they would succeed toppling the Imperium that they would stop, but to them it isn't about the endgame. It's about the process of fighting a war that actually makes sense to them, to fight during the end of days and go out in a way a true warrior deserves. To those of the Black Legion, the galaxy doesn't deserve to be ruled. It merely exists to be burned by those who can light the fire. They exist to serve themselves, their mission, and nothing more. Even better is that the Black Legion is open to anyone who wants to join. Anyone who would prefer to lead on the battlefield and fight for something more is welcome amongst their ranks. You can even have your own cultural practices or beliefs, as in the eyes of the leadership, to remove this is to prevent any actual cohesion to exist among certain units. Speaking of culture, the Chaos Gods are something important to note here, because the Black Legion does not worship the Chaos Gods. Despite Abaddon being War Master of Chaos, they are similar to the Iron Warriors, but not as extreme. They see the forces of chaos and the warp as a tool that exists in this mortal realm not to be controlled, but directed towards your enemies. The Black Legionaries, even those who worship chaos, understand that to try to bend the warp to your will is a fruitless endeavor, as it is how you get corrupted fully and lose any shred of dignity you had. But learning how to harness it, now that's a good idea. And even better, because of the fact that they are the most direct form of chaos undivided outside of the Word Bearers, you can gain favor in a lot of ways from all 4 gods instead of just one, while not succumbing to straight up chaos corruption and losing who you are. Of course, there are those amongst the Black Legion who do fervently worship chaos, but those in command wisely use them as specialist units. As to fully dominate an enemy, one must use all of their tools and resources available, and that is where the Black Legion truly shine, because the Black Legion, while being a jack-of-all-trades army, are incredibly effective and flexible, and in a lot of ways, it's their greatest strength, as they recognize the ability to adapt to an ever-changing pressures of a battlefield is the best thing the one can do to truly win. It's why the Black Legion was able to bring every other legion, except the Alpha Legion, whose various warbands often assisted the Black Legion without much as a shot being fired, to heal. It's why every single Trader Primarch knelt before Abaddon because of his ability to see the big picture, and understand that the greatest weakness the Traders ever had was Horus and his inability to function because of insecurity, hubris, and corruption. Something none of the major leadership of the Black Legion have ever truly had. Not only this, but their leadership structure is fluid and quite connected. Even the most distant Black Legion warbands will reunite at a moment's notice due to the highly effective command structure built in within the Legion. Even the Izakarian, the Inner Circle Leadership Council of the Legion, basically being Abaddon's closest advisors, lead their own respective warbands, and as such, all the ties between all the leadership within the Legion is unmatched in its ability to coordinate and remain effective no matter how spread out they are. Even better, the Black Legion has a lot of connections with other traitor legions, and to be honest, this is the main reason why Chaos at large is even a threat to the Imperium. Because before, there sure would be raids and attacks, but they lacked cohesion. No tactics, just mindless brawls from armored monsters that would just as likely fight another legion as they would, say, the Imperial Guard. The Black Legion changed that, because what Abaddon and the other leaders did was take the disparate volatile Chaos forces, with all of the baggage, warring agendas, and demon worship that came along with it, and point them in the direction of the enemy, while the Black Legion took care of specific targets for their long-term plans. And speaking of those relationships, they're with things like, I don't know, Vashtor the Ark of Fame, the fact that Perturabo lends Iron Warriors to Abaddon for all the Black Crusades, the Night Houses, Titan Legions, the Dark Mechanicum, the countless warbands of various traitor guardsmen, all of these very important things that were incredibly, important. I say the word important again because without them, the Black Crusades wouldn't have even been at all successful. Just to say that there's a reason why the Black Crusades, despite the fact that the Chaos forces always got pushed back time and time again, were considered long-term successes because the Legion's ability to unite a variety of forces and direct it in a way that is absolutely devastating is completely unprecedented. And with all those factors, it is very easy to see why, when Cadia was attacked during the 13th Black Crusade, it was going to fall the second the main forces even stepped a pinky toe out of the eye. And sure, they can be victim to, hey, here's a throwaway Chaos Warlord number 6,947. The faction itself creates a nice baseline for Chaos and Chaos Undivided, showing it as a very different perspective from every other legion. In every single aspect, the Black Legion sets itself apart from the legions around it, which is why them, despite being the jack-of-all-trades Chaos Space Marine army, they are so unique. They may be Chaos Undivided, but they're not like the Word Bears. They use Chaos as a tool, but not like the Iron Warriors. And they may have devotees of the certain Chaos gods, but they don't act like their cousin Astartes. The Black Legion, like I said, is its own animal. And the more I read about them, the more fascinating that they get. And these guys pop up literally everywhere. Everything from the Dawn of War games, to books, to comics. The Black Legion are everywhere. And, in my opinion, considering how much I like them, I'm happy I see them as often as they do. And speaking of which, if you'd like to learn more about the Black Legion, the two Black Legion books, that being Talon of Horus and Black Legion, give a lot of good characterization for very important characters, like Iskandar Kaon, for example, who is admittedly kind of overpowered, but he's such a good character it doesn't really bother me. The 7th edition Black Legion supplement is wonderful as well, and for a bit of spice, I would say the recent Fall of Cadia book by Robert Rath. If you don't know who he is, he's the guy who wrote The Infinite and the Divine, and this is not as good as The Infinite and the Divine, but it's one of the best 40k novels I have read. So all in all, I think all of these would be a really great place to start. And one last thing before we go. I have a friend. His name is Shadow. He's a wonderful individual. And no, he's not the Hedgehog. He makes 40k lore videos, and he just got off the ground, and I'd really appreciate if you go check out his stuff. He does really, really, really good stuff, and honestly, just help a brother out. Go check him out, and tell him that I said for you to hit him with a brick. And thank you all for 3,000 subscribers. We were just at 2,000 a couple months ago, and I kinda had to smack myself before realizing that was real, and then now I'm at 3k, so thank you all very much for watching, commenting, liking, looking at my memes that I post every morning. Every little bit helps. It truly does mean the world to me, and I thank you all so much for the support over the last 2 months, just the entire time I've been doing this. It really does mean the world to me. I know I'm stumbling over my words and saying the same thing over and over and over again, but thank you all, genuinely. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member, and thank you very much to the channel members. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great night.